Hello everyone, my name is Jasmine de la Torre, and for my Funds of Knowledge assignment, I interviewed Sebastian Ramirez, who is a close family friend that I have known for about 5 years. Sebastian was born in Michoacan, Mexico, and moved to the United States when he was only 7 years old, with his parents and 2 siblings. I chose to interview Sebastian because I knew he had an interesting story, but I also realized during conversation that we had a lot in common. I was also born in Mexico and moved to the United States when I was only 5 years old. Like Sebastian, I am a first-generation college student, and I remember how hard it was to adjust to a new language and culture. Even though I connected with many parts of his story, I wanted to make sure I listened to him instead of comparing our experiences. This interview reminded me that being a good teacher also means being a good listener. One thing that really stood out to me was how much Sebastian learned from his family. Before this class, I honestly thought of learning as something that mostly happened in school. But after learning about Funds of Knowledge framework by Gonzalez, Moll, and Amonte, I realized that families teach important knowledge every day. Parents teach life lessons, values, traditions, and skills that children carry with them in the classroom and out of school. One example Sebastian shared was about respect for others. He told me that when he was little, his mom taught him to always respect and help other adults. He remembered helping an elderly woman cross the street with his mom because she was trying to get to the bus stop. He said that the lesson stayed with him, and now whenever he sees an older person who needs help, he tries to help them because that's what his mom would do. That story reminded me that families teach values like kindness, respect, and caring for others long before children even enter a classroom. Another interview question I asked Sebastian was what experiences made him the person he is today. His answer really stood out to me. He told me that he was only 11 years old when he asked his mom for an iPad because he wanted to play games with his friends. Instead of buying it for him, she told him, if you really want it, you have to work for it. So during his spring break, Sebastian went with his mom to work in the blueberry fields. He worked 8 hours a day, 4 days straight, in temperatures that were over 100 degrees. He told me that it was one of the hardest things he has ever done, but it completely changed the way he looked at life. He said that these experiences taught him that nothing comes easy and that if you want something, you have to work hard for it. More importantly, it helped him understand everything his parents sacrificed while working in the fields to provide for his family. He said that after those 4 days, he appreciated his parents much more because his experience how difficult their jobs really were and to not take them for granted. I think his story is a perfect example of Funds of Knowledge framework. Sebastian didn't learn this lesson from a textbook or a classroom. He learned it from working alongside with his mom and dad from the values his parents taught him every day in his life. Those experiences helped shape his work ethic, responsibility, and determination. The lessons stayed with him throughout his life. Even when school became difficult, he kept going because his parents always reminded him that education could create a better future. Their encouragement and sacrifices helped Sebastian become the first person in his family to graduate from college. He entered his bachelor's degree in criminology at Fresno State, which was something his parents always hoped he could achieve. Listening to that story reminded me that success is not just about one person's hard work. It is also about sacrifices, love, and support of an entire family. Another part of the interview that really stayed with me was when Sebastian talked about learning English. When he first moved to the United States, he felt lost because he couldn't understand his classmates. He even told me that there were times when he wanted to go back to Mexico because he didn't feel like he belonged. But then he talked about his first grade teacher, Ms. Zeta. She stayed with him during lunchtime to help him learn English, even helped him with his homework. Sebastian said he would never forget her because she believed in him when he needed someone the most. The story reminded me how much an impact one caring teacher can have on a student's life. During our interview, Sebastian also talked about being bilingual. He said speaking both Spanish and English has helped him in many ways because he can help his parents translate with important documents and even help other people in need. This connects to Yoso's community cultural wealth because bilingual is a strength and not a weakness. His family also gave him hope, encouragement, and support even though they faced many challenges. Those are all forms of cultural wealth that schools should recognize instead of overlook. This interview also made me think about intersectionality, which we learned from the Crenshaw. Sebastian's experiences were shaped by many parts of his identity. He was a Mexican immigrant, an English learner, a first-generation college graduate, and came from a working-class family. All those experiences influenced both the challenges he faced and the strengths he developed. As a future teacher, this interview reminded me that every student comes from a different background, families teach life lessons, values, skills, and traditions that deserve to be recognized in the classroom. One thing I want to do as a future teacher is to have students interview family members about their lives, traditions, stories, or anything about their tradition. I also want to build strong relationships with families by offering translated communication, flexible meeting times, and creating opportunities for parents to share their experiences with the class. Overall, this interview taught me something I couldn't have learned just by reading articles or sitting in class. If anything, it taught me that every family has a story worth listening to. When teachers take the time to listen and learn from their students, we build stronger relationships and create classrooms where students feel welcome, respected, and valued. Thank you guys for watching.